Hey, everybody. Welcome to the very first episode of Was That the Light, a comedy podcast hosted by myself, Jeff Braun, and my very good friend, Frankie, the kid comedian.
Hey, Jeff, and hey, everybody at home or wherever you are. I guess you could really be listening from anywhere, really.
Yeah, what if somebody's listening to this from the airport, right? And they missed their flight, right? Because they're listening.
Is that like a sketch you wrote or something?
No, it's not a sketch. I'm just saying, I'm just kind of riffing off of what you were said earlier about they could listen from anywhere.
Yeah, I know. I said you could listen from anywhere. I never said an airport specifically, though.
Yeah, no, I know you didn't say anything. I know that's my bad. That's my bad, Frank. Would you mind if you want to just start?
No, I mean you can keep this stuff in.
Yeah.
This is good stuff, and we should keep it. I just really wanted to clarify to the audience at home. I wasn't talking about an airport specifically.
Well, anyway, I think now, Frank, if you don't mind, now's a good time to kind of introduce ourselves to the audience and kind of what the podcast is going to be about. Like I said, my name's Jeff Braun. I'm a Chicago-based comedian. I've been doing it for a few years now. Originally from the East Coast, New Jersey, the Garden State in some ways, and in an official, it is the Garden State. So I've been doing comedy here for a few years. I'm excited to be finally doing this pod with you, Frank.
Oh, yeah, and I'm Frankie, the kid comedian. I've been doing kid comedy for over 22 years now. I got my first big break in the 2006 edition of America's Got Talent, where I got this many plays, which is 3 for people who are not watching this. It's 3. I got third place. Anyway, I've been doing kid comedy ever since. I've been touring the country and the globe, really, doing kid comedy. And I'm excited to finally have my own podcast with you.
What's been your favorite place outside of the States to do comedy?
Good question. A couple of years back, I guess, like in 2007. Yeah, 2007, I did a little stint with USO. Right, I was performing overseas for the troops in Afghanistan, right, and that was really cool. But what was even cool was I ended up staying an extra week, right, and I performed for the other troops. Right, I went to Al Qaeda for a little bit, and that was really cool to kind of, see a little bit of the juxtaposition, right, between the two different troops and what worked on one side or might not have worked on the other side, and vice versa a little bit too, Jeff. So.
Oh yeah, that's so cool. You kind of got both sides of the coin there a little bit. Was there do you remember a joke that killed with both troops?
Good question. A joke that worked for both sides really well. I used to do this joke where I asked somebody in the audience if they had a Phillips head or if their penis was a Phillips head or a flat head, right? And that did pretty well on both sides of the troops there. So that's something maybe to bring a little bit of hope into this world. Bring kid comedy. There's a universality to it, right?
100%.
And yeah, that's what the power of kid comedy has, is to bring nations together and end geopolitical conflicts. So
no, yeah, for sure. But I think that's actually a great segue, Frank, if you don't mind, to kind of give what the premise of the podcast is, and we'll get into the difference between kid comedy and regular comedy later, right? But yeah, this podcast is, so as you know, I'm a newer comedian. Frankie's kind of been around for a minute, right? A little more than a minute, I'd say. Basically, it's sort of like, the scene from Star Wars where Luke goes to Yoda, right? It's sort of like they have like a training montage, and it's like I'm Luke and you're Yoda, right? But instead of like doing lightsabers, I'm asking you questions about the industry, about kind of what it's gonna take for me to make it, right? And kind of those hard questions. And kind of wherever we go, we'll have guests too. We'll have guests for sure. But for now, I think that's kind of the beating heart of it all is gonna be, me kind of you mentoring me menteeing from you. So. Anything else to add to that, Frank?
Yeah. I think we should mention our sponsor.
Oh, yeah. Good call, Frankie. Thanks for reminding, folks. Was That the Light is brought to you by Frankie Bets, the world's first completely ethical sports betting app. Use discount code Was That the Light for $500 in free bets. For those of you that haven't put two and two together yet, Frankie Bets is Frankie's other venture, his new sports betting app. So super excited to have that synergy kind of working in our favor here. Frankie, would you mind telling the people at home or at the airport, right? Would you mind telling them sort of what makes it a completely ethical sports betting app? Good question, Jeff. Yeah, so we're really excited to be here on behalf of Frankie Bets, the first completely ethical sports betting app in the world. We have 4 governing principles. Our first one is inclusivity. So that means that we have 0 age restrictions. So it doesn't matter if you're 7 or 87. You can bet as much as your heart desires.
It's so smart because, right, guess like I was, for example, I was at a wedding and my nephew was there and like he was playing around on my phone and he gets to like, the DraftKings app or whatever and and I'm like, you can't play on that. And, like finally he would be able to, this is an app you'd be able to play around on, which is, I'm glad you're meeting that need for sure.
Totally agree, Jeff. And that brings us to our second governing principle, equality. Every single person, now get this, I'm not whining about this. I wouldn't whine about this, Jeff. Every single person on the app gets the exact same betting limit, which is 0. Well, I mean, infinity. There's no limit, right? The limit does not exist. So that's, and that ensures a level playing field for all. So it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, it's just shocking to me that this is the first sports betting app to kind of be doing these things. Like that's pretty awesome.
Definitely. Our third governing principle is diversity. We encourage people from a diverse mental and financial health backgrounds to come and bet on the app. So we are a safe haven for people with so-called gambling-related diseases, right? So you can come on and bet to your heart's desire, and build a community of people who are similarly betting, a lot of money.
Yeah, I think the slogan could also be for Frankie Bets more than a sports betting app, because there's just like, yeah, I mean, what you're talking about with building community and giving voice to the voiceless, like that's in the sports betting community. Like, yeah, I mean, just because you have, and you're a compulsive gambler, that you should be able to find an app that you can, continue to use. So that's great.
Definitely, Jeff. I totally agree. And our fourth and final governing principle is dogfighting. We completely allow betting on dogfighting on the app.
That's great. Are there any state by state restrictions or?
Great question, Jeff. I'm glad you asked. We're technically registered as our own nation state. So when you're on the app, you're technically on foreign soil. So we can do whatever we want. We can technically raise an army, right? We really could do that. So yeah, that kind of gets around the restrictions a little bit. Just some royal mumbo jumbo for you, though.
Awesome. Well, thanks again to Frankie Betts and to Frankie for kind of being the middleman here a little bit. Super excited to have this partnership for the pod going forward. Again, use code Was That the Light for $500 in free bets, everyone. Kind of talking about first podcast, first sponsorship. It's kind of got me in a little bit of a reminiscing mood, Frank. Do you perchance remember when we first met?
Do I remember? Must have been, was it 2 years ago at the Winkin' Lodge?
Actually, you might not remember this, but it was 2 years earlier than that. I was just starting out. It was literally my first week in Chicago. I went to a Thursday night open mic at North Bar. If you recall, no, for those that's no longer in existence. Big comedy bar in Chicago. Anyway, I was there. It was a not a hot room, as we would say in the industry, right? Not a hot room at all. I go up. Back then I'm doing musical comedy with accents, and I go up and I bomb. I bomb pretty hard. The room's pretty dead. There's people, but it's just we're all kind of
not feeling it that night. But then guess who walks in? Yeah, you walk in. Everybody perked up. Everybody got excited. It was like it was what I would think if the Pope. It would be what if I would think if the Pope walked into a room full of Catholic people. That's kind of the reaction. I could only compare it to the listener if you're trying to create a visual image in your head of that. Anyway, you walk in, everybody turns. The host, he runs on stage, grabs the mic from whoever's bombing. I think it might have been John Stockwell. Grabs the mic. Frankie, you come on up, man. Your first joke, oh God, it just destroyed. You remember you said this joke. You pointed to the guy in the audience. You say, "Are you Jewish?" Or it was you look like you fell out of the Jewish tree and hit every branch on the way down. Yeah. It was exactly that. It's so funny, man. And you killed 30 minutes, just kind of incredible. I had never seen a room go from that bad to kind of that level. So that was awesome, man. I built up the nerve, right, to come talk to you after. I said, "Hey, Frankie, great set, big fan. Do you got any advice for me?" And you said, maybe you remember, you said, quit. And if you can't quit, then don't fuck with me. I do remember. I do remember that. No, that was good advice. Yeah, that is really good advice. I stand by it. Really, we need more West comedians, more service workers, is what I'm always saying. Yes. Yeah, so that was my first memory. So you can kind of maybe give you some context of how it's pretty surreal to be here with you right now doing a pod. Do you have anybody you kind of have that relationship with, somebody who inspired you when you were first starting? No, not really. I never, I was always pretty good at kid comedy. there was really nobody above me in my level of kid comedy. No, yeah, and that makes sense. I get that. But that's another good segue. Yeah, the difference between kid comedy and regular comedy. You wanna illuminate that for our audience? Yeah, for sure. I can tell the audience a little bit about what kid comedy is. So kid comedy is really just a comedic medium. That's really all it is. You can have adults doing kid comedy, which is what I am. Right, I'm 27 years old. I'm doing kid comedy, or you could have kids doing adult comedy, right? Like the baby from the Hangover movie. So it all really depends. What kid comedy is technically will vary by country, right? By region. They kind of have a little bit of different traditions, especially in sort of South America. They got a whole other thing. But in general, kid comedy is kind of wearing a big oversized suit and talking funny like this. If that helps with our audience, so that's generally how you would differentiate between kid and adult comedy. Yeah, that's great. That makes a lot of sense to me. Thanks for clearing that up. Are you drinking smart water? Yep, drinking smart water. I'm very, very particular about my water. Very cool. Yeah, I get that. Can I check it out? Oh, yeah, for sure. Cool. Nice, man. Yeah, big fan of these. Yeah, I mean, I know this was a short one, but kind of a pilot. See if we'll get picked up by the network sort of deal. If you're interested in more of this, send this to your friends. Share it on social media. Let's grow the Was That the Light Army, or maybe the WTTL battalion. Yeah, I like that. It's a little too reminiscent of WTF with Mark Maron, right? Yeah, it is maybe a little too similar. Maybe we instead of WTTL, it's Waddle. We call it Waddle. Maybe that kind of like a Waddle bottle, right? Yeah, Waddle. I like that. It's got a good, nice little wing to it. Yeah, you're at the TSA and you have too much waddle in your waddle bottle, right? And they you can't get it. Now you can't get on your flight. Yeah. Even earlier than if you were listening to the pod. If you're listening to the podcast, you couldn't get on the flight, but now you couldn't even get into the airport. So. Oh yeah, no, I get it. Again, we just wanted to clarify. I wasn't talking about airport. I wasn't talking about airport. Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, folks. Again, thanks so much for listening to the first episode. Yeah, be sure to check us out on social, and I guess we'll do our sign off now. I'm Jeff.
Thanks for
Braun.
listening, everybody. Message me for merchandise.